having that sort of camaraderie around your physical experience in your life is invaluable.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 20 of The Squad Room. If this is your first time listening, thank you. If this is your 20th time listening, thank you. This is awesome that we've reached 20 episodes. When I started, I wasn't sure where this was going to go. And so far, we hit 20, and I feel like we're just picking up. So anyway, I'm your host, Garrett Slaw. I'm an active sergeant for a sheriff's department in Southern California, and this is my little pet project. The Squad Room is devoted to optimizing the health and wellness of police officers and first responders around the world. When I talk about health and wellness, I don't just mean physical health and exercise, but how to maintain and improve our health and our wellness and our mindfulness. Basically, any topic that can make us better people, better cops, better firemen, better paramedics, whatever it is we do, however we can be better when we're out there in the field protecting our flock. Our guest today is Andy Petranek. He's a cool guy, but first, before I tell you more about him, I want you to stop what you're doing, except don't press stop on this because you don't even have to. If you haven't signed up for our mailing list yet, text 44222. Sorry, I can never get that right. Text The Squad Room, all one word, to 44222, and you can get signed up for the mailing list right from your phone. You don't even have to stop playing on this podcast. I really can't talk this morning. Anyway, text The Squad Room to 44222, and you can get signed up from a mailing list from your phone. You don't have to press stop on this podcast or do anything else. Now, if you are driving, let's pause until you at least get to a safe spot before you do that. All right. I've apparently had too much caffeine this morning. Two different coffee meetings and coffee before the kids woke up, and apparently I am jacked up. Anyway, today's guest is Andy Petranek. Andy's name might be familiar to anyone who's been in CrossFit for a while. Andy was until recently the owner of CrossFit LA, one of the first CrossFit affiliates in the world. And when I was living in LA, Andy had Petranek Fitness. And he was one of those kind of trainers to the stars kind of guys that you would hear about every so often. But there's a lot more to Andy than just that. Andy was an officer in the Marine Corps before his professional fitness career, and he's done a lot of competitive sports and eco-challenge races. He's biked across Costa Rica, which I'm extremely jealous of, because I could barely drive across Costa Rica during my honeymoon, and obviously an avid mountain biker. A few years ago, Andy started devoting a lot of his time to a new creation of his, something I participated in many years ago without even knowing him, which is the Whole Life Challenge. And if you are a member at a CrossFit gym, you might have come across this event that's sponsored by the gym, but it's really, really blown up in the last couple of years, and it's become its own thing. So what is the Whole Life Challenge? Well, I could spend a good 20, 30 minutes talking about all the different things about it, but essentially it's an 8-week online health and wellness improvement program. Now that sounds boring as get out, but it's not. It's not. And I say health and wellness because if I said it was a fitness program, that would be inaccurate. And if I said it was just a nutrition program, that would also be inaccurate. There's actually 7 different modalities. I guess they call them habits, but modalities that you go through during the Whole Life Challenge to improve yourself. And it's about forming new habits. So anyway, it's an online program where you can sign up as an individual. You can sign up a group of friends and do it as a team, which is what the CrossFit gyms often do. And it's 8 weeks. And you go through every day a scoring system on how good you scored on nutrition, your mobility, your exercise, your sleep, your hydration, something they call a lifestyle practice, which every so often they add a different element to it, which might be gratitude or mindfulness or something like that. And then there's a reflection modality too, to give you some centeredness through the program. I did it, one of the first iterations of it, and I really experienced a lot of great things. It definitely helps form new habits. And since this is a podcast devoted to people who are looking to improve their health, the Whole Life Challenge was kind of a natural conversation topic. And Andy is kind of friends of friends. He's actually Traver's old coach from when Traver first started in CrossFit. And he's good friends with Scott McGee, our guest from episode 16, and several other people. And I just really liked this product. I have no stake in it. There's no sponsorship here or anything like that, but I just really enjoyed what they're going for. I like how it's set up. I like the scoring system. I like the different levels. If you want to be hardcore, you can be hardcore. Or if you are just taking baby steps into getting better, there's a division for that too. You can check it out at wholelifechallenge.com, or you can follow Andy on Instagram and Twitter at Andy Petranek. Petranek is Petranek. If you want to check out Whole Life Challenge on Instagram, it's at Whole Life Challenge, or on Twitter, it's at Whole Life. Pretty cool stuff. And we get into a lot of good stuff with him. And he's just a lot of fun. He invited me over to his house, opened his house, was very warm and gracious. And we had a good time talking. He's an easy guy to talk to. Before we get to that, I want to thank our sponsors for this episode, SB Tactical and the iCombat Active Shooter Training System. The iCombat Training System is an active shooter and firearms qualification system. The way it works is each officer is outfitted with a MOLLE-style tac vest, headband, and receiver that all have sensors on them. You're also given the option of a replica AR-15 and a replica Glock pistol. Now, replica is not a really good word because the Glocks and ARs both cycle like real guns. They emit gunshot sounds, and they each have muzzle flashes. For example, I carry a Glock 17 on duty. That's my preferred optional weapon. And putting the iCombat Glock in my hand versus my Glock is almost indistinguishable if you did it with your eyes closed. Part of that is because they have weighted magazines, and they have an actual mag release on them. So you have ammo accountability. So you have to keep track of your ammo during these training sessions. The AR also functions with a safety and has single shot and burst modes. iCombat's or SB Tactical's slogan for this is that it's not a simulation system, it's replication, and that's really true. And because of this, you can take it anywhere. There's no site prep, no ammo costs, and none of the safety issues that come with live fire or sims training. I hate sims training for a variety of reasons I've already ranted about on previous episodes, so I won't get into it here, but this system has all of the benefits and none of the liabilities. To prove that point, watch that video at sbtactical.com, where they use a functioning terminal at Burbank Airport for active shooter training. They get a bunch of agencies together, and they close down a terminal, and they go through some actual active shooter scenarios. And you'll see in this video how people respond when they're getting shot at. Now, how do you know that they're getting shot at? Well, your vest lights up and all that, but you also get a little voltage shock from that receiver I talk about. Not enough to hurt, but enough to make it sting a little bit and make you know that you're getting zapped. I would say it's less painful than getting stung with a Sims round, and also you don't have to clean your gear afterwards because you don't get paint everywhere. It's a pretty cool system. You can check them out at sbtactical.com, and that's their iCombat system. And it's that 5,000 volts that adds that last element of replication, because when you're struck with that and you get that burst, you'll see people in the video react and respond, break from their program, or break from their plan, or break from their objective when they start receiving fire. I went through that training with my own department long before I knew who these guys were, and long before I even had this podcast. I went through it and wore this system in training and immediately saw how realistic it was. And if your training cadre does a really good job with their training, as mine does, they can really make this as close to real as possible. It's pretty wild. So definitely go over to sbtactical.com, check them out. All right, so on to today's show with Andy Petranek and the Whole Life Challenge. Andy, thanks for being here today.
It's great to be here.
I appreciate the time, the hospitality. You invited me over to your house for this. That's very kind.
Sorry, it's not a bigger room. It's we're in my little office. So
well, I haven't invited you to the professional recording studio at my place, which doubles as my garage, which triples as my laundry room and quadruples as my workout area and the kids stuff. So trust me, we can spread out here. This is actually
good
roomy and highly professional to me.
Okay, great.
I'm used to. I posted a photo the other day. Oh man, this was bad. Of like me doing a podcast. I was doing a Skype interview with somebody, and I did a photo while I did it, and my wife's laundry was in the background.
Wait, who was more upset by that, you or her?
Oh, I didn't have a problem with it.
Whoops. Sorry.
That's all right. So, yeah, that came down rather quickly, and then we scrubbed the photo.
Of course, yeah.
So, yeah, no, these digs are quite nice. So thank you for having me here.
Cool.
I gave a little bit of your background in the introduction. We have a connection through Traver, who, if anyone who's listening to the show, if this is not their first episode, knows Traver's involvement here and that he's been instrumental in this the whole way. You're down here in Los Angeles. You've been in the Los Angeles fitness scene, for lack of a better term, for quite some time.
Yep.
I mean, I remember when I lived down here, I would see your name pop up as one of the trainers to the stars kind of guys.
Funny, I didn't ever train very many celebrities, but it would pop up. I think that's just part of the thing. If you're known in LA as a trainer, you're a trainer to the stars.
Yeah.
Like, it just goes with the territory.
It's assumed.
Yeah, right.
It's assumed that down here you must be training stars if you're successful. So you started with Petranek Fitness in LA. Was that at the same location that?
No, I actually started before Petranek Fitness. I was a trainer. I didn't have a gym. I didn't have a location. I had a car and a Swiss ball and a balance board and my running shoes, and I would go out and meet people at the Strand or meet people on the beach or meet people at Palisades Park in Santa Monica, and we'd run. I used to train people. I was an endurance athlete, sponsored by Red Bull. I did adventure racing, and I was in great shape. And people would look to me and said, "How did you do that? How did you get in such great shape?" And I just kind of fell into training. And when I opened the first gym, which was Petranek Fitness, it was about 6 months after learning what CrossFit was, and it was a direct. I'd always kind of felt like I wanted a place, but CrossFit and Greg Glassman and Greg and Lauren were instrumental in giving me the vision of, okay, this is what it looks like. This is how I can do it. This is what it looks like. And I opened up the gym and, kind of never looked back.
Which became CrossFit LA.
CrossFit LA. We were Petranek Fitness for about 5 years. In our first location. And when we moved locations, that's when we switched the name to CrossFit LA. And
you were one of the, what number affiliate were you?
Well, it's funny. It's kind of a running joke. We, as affiliates drop off the list, you
move up.
I move up. Yeah. So we're number 9, I think, right now on the list. We probably were like 11 or 12. I don't know, but we were very early. I learned of it. My first seminar certification. It was 3 days certification. There was no agenda. I mean, there was an agenda on their end, but they didn't have like there were not 9 fundamental movements. There were none of the stuff that is in place now. And, there were like 7 of us or 8 of us. I don't know. Greg Glassman ran the whole thing. It was very, very family. We went to his house. We drank beers. We watched MMA, UFC. It was, way different than it is now.
Yeah. I can only imagine what year are we talking?
This was 2004, so it was about in June or May, May or June of 2004.
Very cool. It's interesting. That must have been a very small community back then. And was speaking with another mutual friend, Scott McGee, earlier, who was talking about how, especially in Los Angeles, anybody involved in CrossFit in 2006 knew each other.
Yeah,
and it was very much a close community. We've had Greg Amundsen on this show too, and he's obviously one of those original guys from way back in the day.
Yeah, he and Dave Lees were the guys on the DVDs and videos that we watched at the beginning, and we looked at them in awe. Like, you had a sub 8-minute Helen, and we didn't really know what we were looking at until we tried Helen, and then you're hitting 10 minutes or 11 minutes and being like, how the hell did those guys do this?
Yeah. He's still like that.
He's still like that.
When I went up to interview him, I jumped in on a WOD for the day with his class, which was all first responders. And it was a small class, so he joined the group. And he still smoked everybody while still coaching.
Right.
He would like take a break and go cheer everybody on and pat them on the back and then jump back in. And he still had a better time than everybody.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
He's a beast.
He's like RoboCop. I mean, he's just crazy.
So a couple of years ago, it sounds like it was something that was kind of organically happened out of your gym, but you created the Whole Life Challenge, something that I also partook in one of the early iterations of. What's your explanation for what the Whole Life Challenge is?
When we invented it or created it, whatever you want to call it, we were looking for a way to engage our clients outside the gym. Like my biggest frustration as a trainer is and was, I guess will always be, I'm only with somebody in those 3 hours a week that I see them, right? I don't have much influence over what they do when they're not with me. So I was always looking for ways to keep my clients engaged when they weren't at the gym. And engagement is interesting because it requires them to want something more, and it is very helpful to have other people that are engaged too.
Sure.
Right? Like community helps and fun helps, and like events help. But if I start scheduling events, that puts more burden on me. If I have to create these communities or drive it or create content for it or make it happen, it creates more burden on me, and I didn't have more burden. I didn't have more time. I didn't have more energy. I had 300 members in my gym. I didn't have more time to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. So how do I do this without me doing more work? And my head coach at the time, Michael Stanwyck, who's my co-founder of the Whole Life Challenge, we sat down and we were like, okay, well, how do we do this? We had attended a nutrition seminar, and we were really excited about the information that was presented in the seminar. And we thought, okay, we got to figure out a way to get our clients this information. And we created this program called Food U. It was a 12-week course. And, you'd come in every week. You had to get your blood tested at the beginning, and you did your blood test at the end. Well, it was expensive. I think we charged $4.95 for it. We only had 12 people start. And by the time it was over, three people had finished. It doesn't make a difference if 3 people out of 300 do it. There was no community around it. People didn't really give a crap. It was long. It was, it was kind of boring. Mm-hmm. And we finished that, and we're like, well, this didn't matter. And what does matter? And we'd been doing fitness challenges for years. Way before I ever started CrossFit, I'd been doing what I called the Petranek Fitness Challenge, which was do a set of events or a workout on day one, and then 8 to 12 weeks later, do it again and see how much you've improved. Mm-hmm. So we thought, what if we were to add components to that fitness challenge to see what happened, to engage people in these other ways, in these other elements. And I don't know how really we came up with the model, just sitting and talking, and the point, we came up with a point system. We came up with these areas: nutrition and stretching and exercise and lifestyle practices, and now we have hydration and supplementation in the mix, and reflecting back on what you've done, writing about what you've done each day. And when we ran that first challenge, it was only open to our gym. We had 150 people do it, and all the things that we wanted to have accomplished in terms of engagement and mm-hmm. people doing stuff happened. Way more than we ever could have dreamed possible. People were organizing paleo potlucks. They were meeting on a Sunday night, and each would bring a different meal, and they would trade meals and then take the other meals home, and so they'd have meals for the week. People were meeting for workouts outside of the gym. People were asking each other which restaurants to go to for compliant Whole Life Challenge compliant meals. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. We're like, what? This is unbelievable. How do we top this? Mm-hmm. We did it the year after, and we invited them to invite their friends and family, and it doubled in size, and the same sort of results happened, but even more impactful, because all of a sudden the people that were most important to them in their life got to participate. And then we decided, well, this is too good not to share. Let's have the CrossFit gyms that we know participate too. And we opened it up to a worldwide event. We partnered with a former business partner of mine who was running a consulting practice, a CrossFit specific gym business owner consulting practice. And we suddenly had 5,000 people in the Whole Life Challenge. Wow. And we've been running them 2 or 3 times a year ever since. And we most recently had 15,000 people in the challenge. We had 20,000 people in the New Year's challenge. It's become kind of its own thing. I recently sold CrossFit LA, and I'm totally out of the gym business and training business, and I'm really focusing full time on the Whole Life Challenge. And it's a thing. It's a really cool. It's literally changing people's lives, left, right, up, down. It's really, really cool. It's
awesome.
done everything I ever dreamed it could do and more.
That's amazing. So you mentioned the components. Obviously, nutrition is a big part of that. And then do you prescribe a workout every day, or how does that physicality come
Yes, that's a good question. We have a bit of a different philosophy than a lot of the challenges you might see out in the world, and especially given your community. I was a Marine, law enforcement. We have a mentality of challenge means it's got to be hard or almost impossible to be worth it, and so there has to be a super hard WOD every day, and it's going to be, I probably won't even finish, and all these the crazy thoughts that go around people with our personality types heads, because we've been kind of indoctrinated in that kind of system, right? This is not that. Let's just get that right out of the way. It's
kinder, gentler challenge.
This is. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, don't even bother going to the website. We measure results in terms of 20 years from now. Are you creating and cultivating habits that lead to a healthier life in 20 years from now, not tomorrow, not how ripped how big your biceps are, or how ripped you look, or how many sit-ups, push-ups, squats, and pull-ups can you do in 20 minutes, the kind of strength. And that's valuable. I'm not saying that's not valuable. So we don't publish a workout every day. Our requirement for exercise is you have to do 10 minutes. Well, that's kind of ambiguous. What is 10 minutes of exercise? Well, you get to decide. My mom's definition of exercise is different than mine, is different than yours, is different than, anybody else's. And if you say it counts, then it counts. It's good. Good for us. We're cultivating the habit of doing the exercise. You can go as hard or as easy as you want. You can count active recovery. You can count a walk around the block. You can count CrossFit. You can count yoga. You can count, running on the treadmill. You can count doing squats at your lunch break. It's got to be 10 minutes. Yeah. And that's really the only requirement. And we don't, the other piece that your question was, do we publish the workout? And one of the reasons we don't is we want this to be a co-creation. So we don't want to be the provider of all the information for you so that you look to us as the source for everything. We want you to have to actually contribute to your own growth. And there is no lack of information in the world. You can find on the internet with Google pretty much anything you want, but you've got to find it. And then you've got to decide, is this right for my life? And go out there and find it. There's a lot available on our website, but we don't tell you, there's a certain amount of laziness that is cultivated in the culture of, I'm going to join this program and they're going to tell me what to do every day.
Sure.
And that's not what that's not our philosophic mindset. We want you to be engaged and part of the equation.
Well, it seems like that's an important element because, what's the saying? You can teach a man to fish. I'm going to screw this up, but you can give a man a fish, or you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish. You can feed him for a lifetime.
Right.
That same sort of idea of taking ownership of the decision making. Not only probably lessens the intimidation long term of, I don't know what to do. I have to rely on somebody else. But if you, like you say, take ownership of it, and you might break down some barriers, break down some walls, learn some things, and then you're taking ownership of that. And now it's on you, and it's making those decisions for yourself. That's interesting. That's so intentional. Do you think that is the 10 minutes a day a more of an issue of do something, but more importantly, create a habit? Because 10 minutes, anybody can do 10 minutes, right? So
theoretically,
anyway.
I mean, it's 56 days every day. So, I'm not saying that you should exercise like a raging bull every day for 56 days.
Right.
But, some of those days are going to be recovery days. You should be active. 10 minutes of activity, throwing a Frisbee with your kids, kicking the ball around, throwing, going for a walk. if you've been training hard 5 days in a row or 4 days in a row or 6 days in a row, or you had, crazy shifts when you're working in the military or law enforcement, it may be just fine to count being active and going for a walking your dog, okay, cool. It's activity. That counts. Yeah. It's intentional.
Yeah. Again, that decision and putting that on yourself. And then I think that's an easy number to hit and then you don't feel defeated either.
Right.
You're not hitting, I have to do 30 minutes and then I only got 20 and what's the point?
Because I know how many times I've convinced myself not to work out at all when I didn't have 30 minutes. I don't have 30 minutes. Oh, fine, it's not worth it. I won't even lace up my shoes. Typically, I never can say I don't have 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Typically, when I start, I spend more time than 10 minutes. Yeah. Like I'll go for 20 minutes or, something else if I'm going to get started.
But time kind of magically creates itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Fantastic. Okay. So nutrition, the working out, hydration, you mentioned reflection. That was one, that I remember, when my gym went through it, a lot of raised eyebrows. And Traver, Traver, he is a big proponent of meditation, reflection, whatever word you want to put on that, but that was a big emphasis for him. Why do you think there's resistance for that? And then also maybe explain what your version of reflection is for this.
Yeah, so reflection is really, for us, about looking at not only doing what you need to do, but looking back at what you did. So I think too often in life, we go through what we need to do. We look at our to-do list and we start checking shit off, and or we start writing stuff down. We start recording information. Like, we have so much data. If you wear a Fitbit, you have data. You have tons and tons and tons and tons of data. How often do you go back and look at the data? Was what you did, were the choices you made effective? Did they lead to the result you wanted? What was the result you're looking for? Were you looking to do average 10,000 steps a day for 20 weeks or every day? Did the choices you make lead to that, or were you looking for something else? We're a culture of data overload and lack of regular evaluation. And so the reflection is the practice of regular self-evaluation. It's looking back over your day at the things you did, at the choices you made, and saying to yourself, oh, that worked. Oh, no, that didn't work. Or I acknowledge myself for having made that choice. Or I acknowledge myself, these are the great things that happened to me today. They don't necessarily have to have anything to do with the 7 daily habits. They don't necessarily have to have anything to do with your food choices. They could be, we're in the middle of a lifestyle practice this week that's gratitude and positivity. And in the reflections, your requirement in your reflection is that you reflect on either things you're grateful for, 3 things that you're either grateful for or that were positive about your day. How often do we stop to reflect about those things in regular life? Like, we don't bother, or we do, but it's so fleeting, it's so quick that there's no consciousness around it. So this forces you to slow down enough to write it, share it with your community and with other people, and create a context for what's going on in your life. And even if nobody ever reads it, which these are all public, we don't have any option right now for a private logbook. Like, this isn't a logbook, it's a game. And so everybody gets to read it. So you don't, if you're Oogling your best friend's wife, don't write that. Don't do that either. But we're not here to tell you, to judge your morals or your values. But don't write about it because it's public. But it's a way. Like, I always say that reflection is you get double bonus for the things you do in the Whole Life Challenge. So it's like you do 6 daily habits, and then you get to relive your 6 daily habits in your reflection. So you get double credit for having done what you've done, because you're looking at how you did it and acknowledging what you did or what you didn't do, and then making adjustments based on that.
Fantastic. You say you start them about 2 to 3 times a year. You're in the middle of
right now. We do 3 a year. Yeah, we've been the idea was always that we ran them similarly to the way, say, a marathon runs. Like, you can run a marathon distance. You can run a marathon distance anytime you want. You go out and mark a 26.2 mile course, or with a GPS, just go run 26.2 miles. But it's not the same as running the New York City Marathon.
Right.
So the Whole Life Challenge, without the worldwide momentum, is really not the Whole Life Challenge. It's doing the habits, and there's value in that, but it's not the same. Mm-hmm. So we've run them 3 times a year. We do one in January. We do one in May. We do one in, this is when we start, and then start another one in September. We're considering upping the frequency so that we're there's a lot of work that goes into the amount of information that we provide in each challenge. So there's a lot of work in providing that. We have to be ready for doing that, the amount of work that it takes to support the challenge.
Yeah.
But because right now, it's one of the frustrating things is somebody comes to our website, it's October 1st. The September challenge started 3 weeks before, so you can't join that one. And the next challenge doesn't start till January 17th. And, like somebody that is ready to do something, quite honestly, probably you'll look somewhere else and find something else.
Yeah.
Because when they're ready, they're ready. And we know that, and it frustrates. It frustrates us because we're like, damn it, we should have a challenge ready for them to join. And right now we don't.
Yeah. So you designed this, you created this. What are, and I may back up a little bit too. So someone signs up for this online. They don't necessarily have to do this through their gym, although this is a popular thing that gyms band together to do as a group.
Yeah. But
you don't even have to be a member of a gym to do it. You can just sign up and do all this from your house.
Yep.
And it's an online community.
Yep. The group helps. So not necessarily being a member of a gym that's doing it, but if you sign up on your own, in getting at least one other person to join you, your group could be a group of 2. You're double the effectiveness of just doing it yourself, of having somebody that you're committed to, that it's it's your wife, it's your girlfriend, it's your best friend, it's your roommate, it's your coworker, somebody else that has meaning to you in your life, or 2 or 3 people, or 5 people, or whatever. And the beautiful thing about the online world, it could be somebody that lives in England, and it could be somebody else that lives in in Zimbabwe, and somebody else that lives in
or
China,
your neighbor, or your neighbor's wife,
or your neighbor's. Yeah, exactly. So like, it's cool. You can bring a worldwide network of people in one little group, or you can do it with your geographic team. But team really matters. Community really matters. And if you don't have a community, you can just join and do the challenge on your own.
That accountability to someone else is always very helpful.
Yeah,
it's a big thing. So as the guy that created it or co-created it, what are your tips for having a successful experience?
Well, I think the first, that first one is a team. I mean, that's really, really big. When you do it with your gym, if you're in a CrossFit community, or we have corporations now that are doing it as a wellness program.
Oh, cool. So
we've had, I think the largest one we've had about 300 people on their team. When you're in a organization or a gym that's doing it, and you have that community, and you've got those teammates that are either looking in at what you're doing online and care, they give a shit, or you're getting together and doing shit on your physically in the physical world, and so helpful. If you're doing it just on your own, or you want to create your own team, joining and doing that is probably my biggest tip for everyone. Like, it's funny because it always comes across as a little weird, given that we benefit if you bring a friend, right? Because I make more money. The challenge makes more money if you bring not only yourself, but your girlfriend and your wife and
my girlfriend and my wife.
I'm fixed on that. I don't know how that keeps coming up. But in all honesty, it behooves you to bring those people that mean the most in your life with you to do the challenge with you.
Sure.
It's like having a workout partner.
Yeah.
It's like having a wingman, if you're a pilot or, whatever. So, the other piece that is, well, I may have more than two, so I don't, whatever comes up. Another one that strikes me as really important is striving to not try to be perfect. And I find that CrossFit taught me a long time ago that men will die for points. I mean, like, we will do the stupidest things to score more points on. There's a workout called Fight Gone Bad that we do like 400 points. Yeah. And then you can't move for like 7 days afterwards. Like, holy shit, what happened to my arms?
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it's been responsible for a lot of amazing breakthroughs for me personally, like, fuck, I can do over 60 pull-ups. Like, holy shit, when I started CrossFit, I could do 12. I never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that was possible. At the same time, it doesn't necessarily lead to long-term improvement, because very often what happens when you get very, very excited about something new and fresh, and you sign up and it's a boot camp or it's something hardcore, and you decide you're, some sort of extreme weight loss thing, or like The Biggest Loser, let's just, the changes you make in the first 4 weeks or 5 weeks, they're just not sustainable. Like, and what ends up invariably happening is you can't continue the momentum. You don't, you hit big roadblocks, and motivation tanks and desire tanks, and it's not as much fun anymore, and it's actually hard, and you quit, or you make it through to the end and you keep going, and you see whatever results you see, and then you're like, okay, I'm done, I made it, I'm going to go back to my regular life now, where pizza is normal and beer is normal and ice cream is normal and kids' parties is normal and football on the weekends is normal. And you did the challenge and it had its part in your life, and now you're going to get on with the rest of your life. And I hope I can keep some of these things. I hope I can keep some of this progress. And most people don't. Most people, they yo-yo right back up to, if it was about weight loss, they yo-yo back up to a weight, because it wasn't a permanent change. So what I encourage people to do is to bite off a very small piece, slightly more, a slight stretch from what they're doing today, whether it's a change in nutrition, a change in an exercise habit. Like, if you're regularly exercising 2 days a week at this point, it might be that you shouldn't commit to doing 7 days for 10 minutes a day. Maybe you commit to doing 4 days, and that's success for you. If 7 days in a row at 10 minutes, if your context has been you have to have an hour to work out, maybe 7 days at 10 minutes is okay. Mm-hmm. But it's about stretching yourself just a little bit beyond where you are, so that the stretch is almost unnoticeable, like just a little bit more than what you're doing today. And if you're able to do that, very often you're able to hang on to those changes. After the challenge is over, you're able to go, oh, I can keep doing this. This is not that far off from what I was doing before. Mm-hmm. It's not that different.
Yeah.
So trying to be perfect, typically, like taking the top level, being the hardcore extreme person, winning at all costs, earning as many points as you can. The points are there for fun. The points are there so you got something to compare to your friends, but they're not there to try to kick everyone else's ass, mm-hmm. Or try to win necessarily. Because the winner in the Whole Life Challenge is really the person who cares what the points are. The winner is the person that's able to sustain this over the next 5 years or 7 years. Like the first Whole Life Challenge, I went off Diet Coke, Diet Dr. Pepper were my go-to drinks. And I decided, okay, no more Diet Coke, no more Diet Dr. Pepper. And I used to buy it by the case. I mean, it was obscene how much I was drinking. And I bought a SodaStream, which is a bubbly water mm-hmm. maker.
Yeah.
I haven't had one since. I mean, in four and a half years.
Wow.
So I love bubbly water. I go through one of those CO2 things, at least once a month. But I would say that's a major shift in the good food, the good water that's going in, and not the crap that was going in before.
Yeah.
So you just don't know what those things are going to be unless you don't worry too much about being perfect
Yeah.
and losing points.
Yeah, I think that's a key point, especially for me, and I think for anybody. And like you talk about, like our personality of military or Leo,
Yep.
and you got to have a big challenge. You got to do it perfectly.
Right.
You got to be a type A, all that sort of stuff. And I know that through the last couple months of working through this very publicly, that when you take something on and you go, I'm gonna 90 minutes 5 times a week, and then it doesn't happen, and then your motivation tanks, your self-confidence tanks, all those things, and even if I was only doing 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's better than nothing, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a great mindset to take. 15 is better than 0.
Right.
90 is probably unrealistic.
Right.
And you got to be realistic. And I think that's probably the best tip I've heard in a long time, is just stretch it just a little bit.
Tim Ferris made that very clear in his book, The 4-Hour Workweek.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about minimum effective dose.
Yeah.
But in order to determine the minimum effective dose, you have to decide, well, what does it mean to be effective? What's your goal? If you go back to the whole purpose of reflection, what is the purpose of this? Why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And if the purpose is long term, if you can keep yourself around long term health and well being, like how are you going to be when you're 60? How are you going to be when you're 50? How are you going to be when you're 80? Are the choices I'm making today now? I mean, that's in direct conflict potentially with what you have to do for your job, because strapping on deuce gear and your, I don't know what you call it in Leo, but your body armor,
the vest, and
your vest and your
belt
stuff,
and all that, yeah.
and then going out and maybe getting shot. I mean, that's not conducive to being
it's
60
a lifetime
years old.
fitness now,
right? But it's a different context. I mean, this is a different. There is a place. Well, I guess what I'm saying is there is a place for being in the best shape of your life and pushing yourself hard and hitting the wall. And CrossFit is fantastic for that.
Right.
I'm not suggesting that they are, one replaces the other.
Yeah, no.
It's a very different. It's a very different kind of challenge.
Yeah.
It's a very different kind of context.
Well, I think I think it's important that you clarify that, but also at the same time, for example, me, if I have 3 days off, or 4 days off, depending on my week, I might get 3 or 4 good workouts in, but those other days that I'm working, I might only literally have those 10 minutes to walk the dog, or
right.
Between getting kids to bed and
mm-hmm.
up at 4 or something a.m. For work. So if I think I'm having a little light bulb going off in my head as we talk, that maybe adjusting goals given the day is something that needs to be more emphasis, and then you're a little bit more you're more forgiving on the days that you don't necessarily hit the 60 to 90 minutes at the gym that I all probably like to have, but just don't logistically have the opportunity to achieve. And
then how do you treat yourself when you don't? You don't have the time for 60 to 90 minutes, right? But you got your kids to school. You got up at 4:00 in the morning. You worked a hard shift. You're exhausted at the end of the day. Do you feel guilty for not having done 60 to 90 minutes? Or can you find a way to get in 10 minutes of something?
Yeah.
And then give yourself a pat on the back going, wow, look what I did. Like it's like positive reinforcement coaching on yourself.
Yeah.
I had a conversation the other day with a best-selling author named Steve Chandler, and he was talking about how we know that if it's our kid, we're talking to our kid, and we're trying to get him to be a better pianist or better baseball player, do we yell and scream and tell him how terrible he is for not having practiced and what a piece of crap he is, and how no, we don't, or if we do, we know we shouldn't.
Yeah.
And yet we do that to ourselves. We finish our day. We might not say it out loud. And you might not reflect on it in a public forum, but you might write about it in your private diary, and you certainly are telling yourself, well, fuck, I suck. I didn't get my 69. I know what I need to do. You end up guilting yourself or shaming yourself, and it doesn't work. It's not effective.
Yeah.
So if you're able to kind of shift that context, and mobility is one of the 7 daily habits in the challenge. How many guys do you know that have tight hamstrings?
Yeah, quite a few.
I don't know one that doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
especially
yoga guys. And, besides some elite runners, that are hurdlers have incredibly loose hamstrings.
Yeah.
But what if you just sat down in front of the TV and watched, something for, with your recorder, with your DVR, watch something for 20 minutes and just sat on the floor in a hamstring stretch.
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes would satisfy your mobility, and if you wanted to, counts for exercise.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of exercise, but it is exercise.
Sure.
I mean, in the challenge, one of the things I do is I usually find one thing that I'm going to do, one stretch or one sequence of poses, like say it's like sun salutations or something, for my mobility piece, for my 10 minutes of mobility, and I do the same thing the whole challenge. So like one challenge, I held a squat for 10 minutes every day. And I couldn't make it for 10 straight minutes, but I would accumulate 10 minutes in the bottom of a squat.
Yeah. Another
challenge I did hanging in a hamstring stretch, literally just, straight legs, and I just hung upside down basically for 10 minutes. This challenge, I got something, my shoulders have always been tight and given me issues. And I got something called Indian clubs, and they're 2 pound, they're super light. They look like, bowling pins.
Okay.
And you do these rotational things where you're spinning them and spinning them around and doing stuff. And I've been doing that every day for 10 minutes. That's my mobility piece for 10 minutes. So, you can be very creative with what you pick and what you do, and give yourself credit rather than berating yourself for not having, done your 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 90 minutes of working out in the gym that you were supposed to do.
And so it sounds like you still do the challenge yourself every. So
I do. You do them all? I do them all. So far, I've done. If we're doing 5 or 6 a year, I don't know. I need. Well, here's the thing that becomes a lot easier after you've done. I've done 10 now or 11. Is I just start scoring my life. Like this weekend, for example. First of all, we have 3 levels of nutrition. We have the performance, the lifestyle, and the kickstart level. I play the lowest level. I play the kickstart level, which means that I don't have to deduct points for. So the way the nutrition category works, you start every day with 5 points, and for every infraction of a rule, you deduct a point. The performance level it's basically, the easiest way to understand it is it's paleo. We allow beans, we allow butter, we allow sweet potatoes, but basically it's, no sugar, no wheat, no dairy, no alcoholic beverages or juices, and no artificial ingredients. It's pretty restrictive, and it's intended to be challenging.
Sure.
The kickstart level gives you a lot more options. So I play kickstart level, and I went to not the Dodger game. The Dodgers are out of the playoffs. I went to the Kings game last night. And on Saturday, I went to the movies with my son, and we had popcorn, and then we went and had a hamburger afterwards. I just had there were some events that, had I planned well, had I got my little cooler and brought my salad, and I could have eaten well, but I didn't. And I just lost points. And I'm not sweating it, and I'm not worried now. Now that comes with having done a lot of challenges and not really worried about it. And there's also a, and this is another thing that I think you learn after doing multiple challenges, is how to give yourself latitude for the things that are important to you in your life, while still holding yourself accountable to high standards. Like I was willing to give myself latitude for both the popcorn at the movies and the Kings game. I had a cheeseburger and a hot dog, and I lost four out of my 5 points. I lost a beer. I had a beer. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my life. I enjoyed the event. I enjoyed my friends. I enjoyed, I'm willing to give myself that latitude, knowing that today I'm going to hold myself accountable to a high standard. Mm-hmm. I play Kickstart, but I typically during the week I eat based on performance standards. I eat at a much higher level. So, I don't believe that constantly living under the under the thumb of trying. This goes back to the perfection thing. Trying to live under the guise of that you're either perfect or that you can't enjoy life. Like partake in life. Fuck, it's life is short. Your best friend gets married and you won't have a piece of birthday cake or wedding cake because you're in the challenge. No, have a piece of wedding cake. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's great. Do it. Like the joy that will bring to you. As long as it brings you joy,
right?
Is way more valuable, I think, than necessarily holding yourself accountable. And look, if it would give you more joy to be accountable for 56 days and not miss a point, okay, that's a choice you've got to make. That goes back into knowing yourself and knowing whether or not you are being effective for your set of internal rules. Because you can make a case that it's more joyous for you to see if you can make it for 56 days without missing, in spite of all the opportunities in your life to eat shitty.
Yeah, so that's valuable. But I think too, again, the first word in whole life challenge being whole in life. I mean, you have to live a whole life, and if you go, for a lot of us, myself included, if you go through something like this completely restrictive, that you almost begin to obsess on what you're going without, and maybe not, and then it's unhealthy. It kind of becomes unhealthy and detrimental to your overall goals, because you're thinking, oh, I'm missing out on this and this and this, versus learning how to have those moments, but then step back in line.
Right.
And say, okay, like you said, I went to the hockey game last night. I have no guilt over that, because I know that today I'm hitting my 10 plus minutes. My nutrition, particularly my meal plan, that's for me, meal prep, my plan is in place, and I'm moving forward. Right. Versus, oh man, last night I blew it. Well, what's the point?
Right. Giving up.
And that was, I mentioned at the beginning that I tried one of the very first challenges that you put out to the public. Mm-hmm. And that was my problem. I got a little off. I think I did performance. I'm pretty sure I did. We
only had performance back in those days. There was only one option.
So I got. I don't know. It was still only 4 weeks. I think.
No, it was 8 weeks.
Was it 8 weeks?
You probably only played for 4 weeks.
I probably only played for 4 weeks. Then.
All right, now the truth's coming out.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, this podcast is all about truth. There's no shadows left for me to hide under. But yeah, that was the negative self-talk that sabotaged me last time. Was like, well, I lost my points, and I'm already. Yesterday was bad, and then today I made I didn't plan well, so I made them off a point there, and I'm all.
Why bother?
Yeah, exactly.
Why bother? You just quit.
Yeah. Well, that's not very. I mean, we can't do that anywhere else in life, right? I mean, if you have an argument with your son, or if I have an argument with my son, and he yells and screams and stomps off to his room, I can't just be like, all right, honey, I'm out. I'm done being a dad.
Right.
And walk away.
Right.
Can't do that.
You can do it with your wife.
Yeah.
Which we have too much of in the world.
Yes.
Which
causes other problems.
You can't with your kids, right?
Can't with your kids. I can't, as much as I'd love to, go to a call and be in the middle of it and just decide that I'm done handling the call and I'm not going to finish my obligations there and walk away.
Right.
Can't do that other places. So I shouldn't allow myself to do that.
And yet we do. We do. We quit on ourselves, and it's.
You're the easiest person to quit on is yourself.
Right.
And that's true for me, and I know that's so true for so many other people, that we will go, cops especially, or military, right? I mean, you have partners, you grow, you get indoctrinated, and you grow into this culture, the buddy culture, the team.
Yeah, you'll never give up on your buddy. Ever.
Right. You never leave a man behind. You never give up on your buddy.
I did underwater training, Navy diver training when I was in the Marines, and I mean, you will die for your buddy underwater. You're under 12 feet of water, and you're doing problem solving, and they're coming down and hitting you with stuff, and man, you're not going up. You pass out before you go up to the surface. Yeah. But yourself, you're much more inclined to I'm not going to make it. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I mean, we, on the way over here, LAPD's rolling code to something, and they're going to help somebody else, right? And they're going to help solve someone else's problem. They're not giving up on them. They're rushing to the scene.
Right.
Yet I'd be willing to bet whatever cop was in that car was the first to give up on himself at something, at some point. Right. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's not a cop thing. It's just a human thing.
Right. It's a human thing.
And
it's one of the things that you learn. Mark Devine runs a program called Unbeatable Mind. Do you know Mark?
I don't know Mark, but I've done his program.
Have you been down to what's it called?
Encinitas, SealFit.
SealFit.
Yeah.
Have you been down to?
No.
The 3-day weekend is called.
He's got the 20X, and he's got the what's it called now? The
I can't believe it blew out of my head. Anyway, it's a 3-day. It's like a Bud's.
Kokoro. You're talking about Kokoro.
Kokoro. Yeah, Kokoro. And it's one of the first things you learn there is if you can stay focused, you can't win. You can't beat the instructors. It is impossible to keep your head above the water and to make it with in the context of just yourself.
Yeah.
But if you can figure out how to be there for other people, if you can figure out how to get out of your own way and then support other people, that's the way people make it. I mean, there's a baseline of fitness and capacity that you need to have in order to even go there. But you won't make it just on your own. It's a human thing. It's a human condition. If you can figure out how to be there for other people, you both make it. Yeah. And that's why the teamwork in the Whole Life Challenge is so valuable. It's a different feel, but it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's not as obvious. It's not like we're going to die if we don't, help each other get out of this situation. It's the impact, and that's one of the funny things about the Whole Life Challenge is points become your I'm going to die. Like I lost all my points today. They become a very realistic number that indicate how the results of your choices today will impact your life 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually bring things into tighter reality. But I don't know. I got a little off track.
No, that makes sense. It does. And but yeah, Greg Amundsen talked about that. Yeah, about how giving of yourself or being in service it gets you through that. A lot of SEALs have gone through the buds and said that's what got them through. When they stopped worrying about themselves and they started focusing on the team, that's when everything became. I'm never going to say the word easy, but clearer.
Right.
And the goals became a lot more manageable.
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to reconcile in your own head sometimes, but part of the process.
Right.
So I have a question. I'd like to ask you. You've done a lot of programming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had CrossFit LA for almost 10 years.
11 years.
11 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of programming for lots of different kinds of people. So I always like to get that perspective of a trainer's programming for law enforcement. Would you subscribe to something like just your standard CrossFit workouts? Would you add something different? Would you take something away? What would you?
Well, I don't know that there is such a thing as a standard CrossFit workout.
Well, that's true.
That's one of the problems.
Yeah.
The headquarters. Look, back in the day, there was a standard CrossFit workout. It was CrossFit.com, and it was where the workouts were even though they were extraordinarily hard in the day, they were manageable by people that were somewhat strong and fit.
Mm-hmm.
They were still incredibly hard. Today, they're not manageable. Most of the workouts you find on CrossFit.com, they have to continue to program as the community gains in strength, as the Rich Fronings and the top 10 CrossFit Games athletes are able to do 3, 4, 5 WODs in a day, and the volume that they can do goes up, and the work capacity they can do goes up, and the types of movements they can do goes up. They have to continue to grow and evolve, and the normal person can't really follow those workouts. I mean, there are some that they can, but it's very, very difficult. So I think that the CrossFit methodology is the, I hate to use the word perfect, but following the CrossFit methodology there is no better way to train for a law enforcement or a military person. Using the 10 principles or foundations of 10, what are they called? The 10 principles of fitness, 10 things of fitness, speed, strength, endurance, stamina, accuracy, power, agility. I'm leaving some at balance. They address everything. And so combining strength work with endurance work, with speed work, with a combination of all the above, and then addressing your weaknesses. If you're habitually a weak runner, I would say as a law enforcement officer who's on the street, that should be probably something you focus on, right? As opposed to, if you have a 500-pound deadlift and you're Leo, but you can't run, 400 meters without huffing and puffing. Well, guess what? Guess where you should focus your training? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, it's not a no-brainer. I mean, it is a no-brainer if you're willing to look at it.
Yeah.
But it is. It can be very personal. Like, while you can follow general programming and benefit, you can also add in the things that are personal weaknesses for yourself and really focus in on those things and do yourself benefit. But I can't, metabolic conditioning, strength, gymnastic control, and strength endurance. I mean, what else is there? And you're prepared for the unknown and the unknowable. And, in the world of law enforcement and military, what else would you want to be prepared for?
Sure.
Spinning's not going to do it.
No.
And yoga's nice. Yoga's great for recovery, but if that's all you do, that's not going to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you carry your gear. Run with 30 pounds of shit on your back, or whatever you got to do.
Yeah. So it sounds like, you sold CrossFit LA recently. But it doesn't sound like you have a change in your opinion about CrossFit or your belief in the system at all.
Oh my God, no. I'm constantly turning people on to CrossFit. I'm constantly turning people on to CrossFit LA. I definitely feel that there's a difference between CrossFit affiliate boxes,
mm-hmm.
and I do have a very strong opinion about, how to choose who you train with in terms of the methodology of the trainers in the box.
Yeah.
But there isn't anything better that I've ever seen. Like, I still do it. It's not, other than when I just go for a pure run. Which is still, you could say, is still CrossFit because I'm mixing it up on other days with other things. If all I was doing was running, I would say, okay, I'm not really doing CrossFit anymore.
Yeah.
Triathlon is kind of the CrossFit version of endurance sports. So yeah, no, I love it still. Yeah. Absolutely.
So one thing we've talked about a lot here, and Traver's been big on is creating a team or having your team with you, right? Mm-hmm. And how not only are we members of a team, but we also have teams at work, we have team at home with our wife and maybe our family and that kind of people. But the team that goes around you, as kind of a law enforcement officer, and Greg Amundsen talked about it too, is the importance of having a team, mm-hmm. People who support you, give you some knowledge, give you education. To me, the Whole Life Challenge is almost like a teammate, mm-hmm. in that it helps give you parameters and guidance. But from your coach's perspective too, I always like to ask this too, what are some of the people, not specific people, but types of people that you think people need to have on their team?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think that obviously I haven't prepared this answer.
Did I stump you?
I'm just going to start. No, I got so many thoughts going through my head of like all the options. Like the first thought was, well, you want to have somebody that you trust, that you respect, whose opinion you respect, who's knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. Like I would say, like some sort of either a mentor person or a professor or somebody that's got more experience in life than you. Could be your grandfather or someone who you think is more knowledgeable than you are. I would say that would fill kind of the knowledge category. I would say someone that is an emotional support, and that would be wife, who's there to pick up the pieces when things go to shit, or that you share in your, your regular life with on a regular basis, whether it's your wife or your partner, your best friend or whatever it is. I'll tell you, I've had a person on my team that I pay for. I've had a coach.
Yeah, this necessarily doesn't. Paying is okay.
No, right, and which creates a different kind of relationship.
Sure.
Like it's very unfiltered and I'm paying for the unfiltered advice of my life coach, and I've worked with 3 or 4 different life coaches over the course of the last 20 years, and I'm paying for their unfiltered advice, and that's different than my wife's advice, and that's different than a mentor's advice.
Sure.
To me, it's been invaluable. It's been an invaluable part of my team. And that's
something you've had for quite a while.
Yeah. I started with my first coach without really knowing I was doing it in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 20 years ago. I've spent unbelievable. I wonder how much money I've spent on damn coaches.
Probably best not to think about it.
I don't want to think about that. No. Jesus, if I had that money now, of course I might not.
Maybe you wouldn't be where you are though either, right?
Right. I wouldn't.
I think a coach is such a something I'm coming around to as an important thing. Starting back in, I've had coaches, in CrossFit we call the trainer or the gentleman, the coach, quote unquote. But to really have a coach, someone you could sit down and have a cup of coffee with and be like,
who's on your team,
who's on your team,
literally on your team, knows your life, knows your problems, knows your goods, bads, strengths, weaknesses,
and in some ways even leads other members of your team, right? Again, Traver being my coach in this sense, not just physically, but the guy that I can sit with and go, hey, here's what I'm having a problem with, and he can say, this physical therapist is part of my team, and okay, so go to him and work out these issues here, or try this, or contact this person, or read this, or kind of helps direct you in those ways. It's funny, and it always strikes me as interesting and also reassuring that people who are coaches have coaches, right? Because even Traver has a coach,
of course, yeah.
And
I didn't know that, but he should.
Yeah, well,
I'm glad to hear he does. Yeah, they hired me actually. Him and Malzone hired me when they were first opening their box to be their coach. Yeah. I worked with them they would drive down to LA, and I would work with them, and we worked together for 6 months or 8 months.
Yeah,
I think you'd have to ask Traver, but I think it was the smartest money they ever spent. I look at what they've done and what they've created and what they're building, continuing to build, and I'd like to think I helped. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I think I did. So whatever. It's good. It's good practice.
It is, and I think one of the fantastic things about CrossFit in general, the community that comes out of it, just that natural tendency to get together with people, and then that shared suffering you all go through, to me is almost a force multiplier in that.
Yep.
I can go into that gym, and I have people on my team that might just be temporary people, right? But I know, bad example, but I know that someone that I just dropped blood, sweat, and tears with on a hero WOD is an accountant. And I need an accountant on my team to help square away my finances. And now I have a member of that team from the gym. Mm-hmm. And they may not be in and out of my life every day, but there's someone that you can call upon.
Well, I was going to say even more so, rather than what their occupation is having that sort of camaraderie around your physical experience in your life is invaluable. Yeah. So I don't know who, that's kind of the third, it's almost like the 12th man in football, like the fans are the 12th man on the football team. The player on your team that's the X factor is the people that are part of this extended community, that are part of your physical world, but it's not really important. It's not that there's any one of them that is the standout one. It's the presence of this community that's committed to similar stuff. Yeah. It's going through hell with you.
Yeah.
That's sweating on the floor. That is showing up when they don't want to show up. That is and I would say the physical world stuff is more real than like online. But I guess it could be an online, or it could be in another context. I'm just having trouble seeing it right in this moment. But God, that's an invaluable. It's definitely part of my crew, my team. Like I think of, I don't have a workout partner. I don't have one person that I lean on for workouts, but I still take the 12 noon class at CrossFit LA 4 days a week, and whoever shows up, it's like who's on my team? Well, the 12 noon classes. Mm-hmm. Who is that? I don't know. It doesn't matter
for that day, right?
It's that day. Like the other day, it was 3 people, and it was the 2 people that showed up are 2 people that I have not worked out with in 9 months. I haven't worked out. They're not my level. It didn't matter. They were my partners. And they were on my team that day. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't really thought about that, but that's kind of the 12th man. I think that's important for everybody.
Well, anyone who's gone through an academy and the physicality of going through an academy or boot camp understands that shared experience of partaking in that together. And I think that was one of the most bonding experiences, were those insufferable 7-mile runs when you didn't want to be there and you were hurt.
Nobody does.
Nobody does, except for the one guy who's such a show off, but
right. And the instructors who were laughing at y'all.
Yes, yeah, from the back. They weren't even trying to hide it.
No.
So the next one coming up, the next Whole Life Challenge is coming up in January.
It comes in January, yep. January
Where do people go to find out more about that?
They go to wholelifechallenge.com. There's a ton of information there. There's, if I don't know when this is gonna post or air, but if it does post more than a month before the challenge starts, there's a ton of stuff on our site to prepare your life to do the challenge. You don't really have to prepare. You can just start. But if you do prepare, prepare your kitchen, prepare your life, get your food plan going, figure out what restaurants you can go to, start to think toward what your life's going to look like doing the challenge.
Yeah.
You probably will have a better experience in the challenge.
Yeah.
So there's a lot you can do to prepare for the challenge on our website, and you can engage. You can actually subscribe to our. We put out a weekly. Sometimes we publish articles twice a week newsletter, so you can also subscribe to our newsletter there.
And then through that too, will they be notified when? Is sign up open now, or is
sign up's open now?
It is open now.
As soon as the registration for the current challenge closes, the registration for the next one opens.
Okay.
So the next challenge begins on January 16th of 2017.
2016.
What did I say, 17?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm way ahead of myself. 2016. Yeah, January 16th of 2016. Mm-hmm. And registration's open now. And yeah. That's
perfect. Well, this will be early December. So
it'll
be line up right there. So check out the website, and I'll post that address in our show links as well.
Great. Awesome.
And make sure that people get to it. It's really an easy program to follow.
Yeah.
You do get you have a lot of control. That's a good thing. It's a bad thing if you're not ready.
Right.
But if you're ready, and this is what I learned doing a similar challenge through my gym at later times. If you're ready, then it's actually quite manageable.
Right.
And then you start to quickly gain momentum and confidence as you go. Okay,
right.
I can do this. I learned my food. I've learned my hydration, my gratitude, that sort of stuff. It's a fantastic way to get people involved. I think what you're doing is amazing.
Well, thanks.
I think I highly encourage anybody listening who's wondering where to start, particularly with the nutrition, but just wondering where to start and get moving, give this a shot and give this a try, because this is a great way to make those first incremental steps towards some really positive improvements in your health. Andy, thanks for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. It's been really fun. I love these conversations.
Another good stuff. Real quick too, Twitter or Instagram? Do you?
Andy Petranek. I'm very simple. I it's so funny. All these people have these creative names on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm just Andy Petranek.
You're just straight.
It's quite
keep
it's
it
quite
simple.
boring. It was funny. I was having a conversation with my one of my marketing guys for Whole Life Challenge, and we were talking about naming of another possible Instagram account for more educational and learning. He goes, I'm the worst namer because I just name them as literally what they are, like Whole Life Challenge Learning Channel. He's like, I need something cool. I need something cooler. I need somebody to come up with it, and I'm the same way, like Andy Petranek.
Sometimes being straightforward, though, and
it works.
It works.
It does work, but it's not. There's no cool factor.
You don't want some like Andy Petranek in Orlando who's got nothing to do with anything grabbing that handle, and then people going to find him and like, what's up with this guy? He could he could be a scumbag or something. You don't want people.
Thank
thinking
God my name's not like John Smith.
Yes, right.
I'm just John Smith.
Yes, Andy, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening to episode 20. We are, like I said, just getting started. We got so much more to go, so many more good things to go. For the show notes for this episode, check out thesquadroom.net, and you can sign up for the mailing list there. You can check out previous episodes. You can listen to episodes there from your computer. Also, text The Squadroom to 44222 to sign up for the mailing list. And please consider leaving a review on iTunes. We currently do have a contest going. It's going to run through the first part of January for an RP Strength diet template. Check out episode 19 and the intro to 19 and guest Freddie Camacho for the details on that. Or click on thesquadroom.net/episode 19 for details on that giveaway of an RP Strength nutritional template. But I highly encourage you to check out wholelifechallenge.com. It's a really good program to start getting into your fitness and changing those habits. If you sign up before January 4th, there's $10 off the registration fee. And if I can get myself motivated, I'm even thinking about trying it again because I had such a good experience with it when I went through it the last time. Again, I want to thank SB Tactical and the iCombat Training System for their support of the show. Check them out at sbtactical.com and watch the video of their active shooter training system in action. It's replication, not simulation. Any questions or comments, please shoot me an email, squadroonpodcast@gmail.com. As always, we really appreciate listening. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram @The Squadroom. And please share the show with some friends of yours and other partners that you think might benefit from this information that we're trying to get out there. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Stay safe and take care of each other.